All right, I'm back. Last sculpt of the night because I don't know, it's like 12:30, 12:45. It may be 1. I have no clue. I'm not checking for that right now. But anyway, this is the coil vessel that I created, and now I'm adding in the sculptural element. A lot happened off camera because it needed to, because I told you guys that I'm not going to be so focused on creating content that I'm going to stop my flow and not make the most out of my weekends, which is the only time I have from sun up to sundown to really put in work, and that's really important to me as somebody with a 9 to 5 who is always thinking about my passion. And even though unfortunately it does not, allow me to pay the bills at this particular point in my life, it's something that I am consumed by, and it's all I think about. I just want to go home and create and sculpt. And, of course, when you fall in love with a new medium, that excitement is amplified. Even if you were already a creator, once you've discovered something new and you're trying out new techniques and you're learning it, it's very much all consuming. And I like to give into that all the way. So I'm not going to deprive myself of an hour while I wait for my phone to get back to 100% when I can be building. Because one thing about me, when I learn something and once I become passionate about it, I have a tendency to get pretty fast at creating in that medium. And that's for some good reasons and some not so good reasons. The not so good reasons we'll start with impatience, because a lot of ideas and inspiration start popping into my head, and while I'm building something, something else will present itself that I want to build. So I want to hurry up and finish. Another thing is that I do not maximize my full potential by way of things that a lot of the greats do, which with regards to research, revisiting things. I am just always ready to move on and explore, but in my own way, and not necessarily the best way for my development as an artist. But, they say it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. I ain't a dog, but I am definitely old, and that has definitely been my pattern for most of my life. Luckily, I get expressed what I need to get expressed, but the reasoning is there of, but what else would you create if you committed to the research aspect or the just delving deeper aspect? That's what I don't do. But that could possibly change. Never say never. But for right now, I'm really just enjoying this process, enjoying the ideas that are coming, particularly enjoying freestyles, because that's not easy for me. As an illustrator, my goal was always leaning towards realism, not photorealism, but definitely realism. So anything stylized and abstract is difficult for me for a few reasons. I don't feel that I have the best imagination in the world. Visions pop into my head every once in a blue moon that are innovative or that I feel excited about. But for the most part of my journey with art, which started as a child, it was always that I was just able to draw things that I looked at. Never really had a great imagination. So it's always exciting for me when something wants to present itself in spite of that. And all I have to do is, pretty much go with the flow and let it happen. So that is what I'm doing. I definitely want to leave this coil thick because I'm going to want enough to cut away from. And this is not something that's going to get hollowed out. Yeah, this is not something that's going to get hollowed out, so I'm not going to want to keep it thick. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought because I started focusing in on what I was doing. All right. I need something to prop this up with. So my little raggedy ass bowl from when I had my pottery class has come into handy. Come into handy. What the hell does that mean? Has come in handy a few times, and this is another one of those times. So I actually don't. If I was thinking, I would have realized I didn't need it just yet, but still good to know it's there, and I've got it. So let's continue, shall we? I'm gonna share a random thought because I told you I be having whole conversations in my head while I'm quiet because my inner dialogue is constant. So I just thought to myself, I wonder if Cardi B freaked out when Denzel was talking with Jamie Foxx and quoted Bodak Yellow. Like, did she go, "Oh my God, Denzel knows my music"? Because that would have freaked me out. Why was I thinking that? It's not all that random. The Equalizer is playing in the background. I've never seen that movie, and I'm still not seeing that movie because I'm doing this, but it's what's playing in the background, and then that's what pops into my head. So there's that. I can move this now because I got to get inside there and push the clay into a meeting point with the torso, which actually this is going to be covered because she's not just straddling the vessel. Well, I mean, she is, but not in this form or this style. She's actually going to have a garment on, a skirt, and that's going to be draped, but I want to create the structure underneath first. In just my way, again, probably not necessary. Probably a more experienced sculptor would say, oh, you should have just done the skirt and extended the legs out from it. And that's a way too. Definitely, definitely. But again, this is my creation. There is no rush whatsoever. It's not a commissioned piece. So I have the liberty of doing things the hard way, or a way that's going to take longer and not necessarily as efficient as it should be. And that's okay. That's okay for this. It's not okay, I think, when you're working on commissions and time is of the essence. But then I probably wouldn't do stuff like that. I would probably sit a long while and think about what the best approach is to maximize my time before I start. So there's that. I'm just using my hand on the inside to brace it because this has been air drying a bit, so it's pretty close to leather hard on the outside, but it can feel that way on the outside. Leather hard is very much exterior, so you can start going crazy if you want to and pushing in on your creation while it's leather hard, and that inside is still soft, so you don't want a collapse or to alter the shape of something that you're pleased with and that you want it to stay exactly as it was because you started moving too quickly. I'm impatient, but I'm not that impatient. I'm not stupid. So I do think about that stuff as I'm working. My son does not have to go to work tomorrow. You don't even understand how pleased I am about that. Which I don't know why I'm so pleased. Because honestly, when I know that I'm going to be in my zone, he catches Uber back and forth to work. But if I have the money and I decide, like I did today, that I really want to work uninterrupted, I end up sending him the money for his Uber. And of course, that gets costly. So I'm not trying to do that all the time. So I try to make sure that I make myself available to pick him up, to save him money, and to save myself money. But that's not always the vibe. So him not having to work tomorrow means I don't have to make that decision on if I can afford to, send him money for Uber. So that's pretty dope. I'm making the clay pretty dry with this process of rolling it, so I need to wet it down. I'm not trying to stretch this, but I do want to smooth it, so that's what's happening here. So I cut my nails down considerably And these bad boys are growing like somebody double dog dared them not to grow. Like somebody double dog dared them to grow. So I'm back at the point where I'm going to have to cut them down to nubs again so they won't interfere. They're not interfering with this, but they will interfere once I get my pottery wheel. And I can't have that because I've got a lot to learn and a lot of practice to go through. And I don't need anything frustrating me any more than the learning curve is going to frustrate me. So that's the sacrifice that I have to make, and it's fine. I'm trying to blend a very awkward angle here. I can't really see what I'm doing. And you'll ask probably or think to yourself, well, if you can't see what you're doing, the viewer is not going to see that part, so what does it matter? The kiln is what matters, because even though it's not seen, you still want it compressed and you still want it sealed well, and you still want to make sure you don't have air pockets in case some bit of moisture exists, and that's going to give it a place to explode out of and mess up your piece. Now, here's the funny thing. So on TikTok, I've seen a couple of sculptors and potters saying that if you're a newbie, you're being lied to because air pockets are not what causes your sculptures to explode. It's only moisture escaping from those air pockets. But here's the thing. I told y'all that I had the first casualty. The studio owner let me know that we, pretty much lost one that went in to be bisque fired. It was a face, a very stylized, lovely African face, and it was a beautifully sculpted hand, if I do say so myself. Now, she said that the hand survived, face exploded. Well, a large portion of the face. I haven't seen it yet, of course. She was calling me just to let me know what had gone down. Now, I know for a fact, that sculpture was bone dry. It has been out on my patio drying for, I have to say, at least a good 5 to possibly 8 months. There's no water in that sculpture. It looked antiquated. It had been out there so long, uncovered to the degree that dust had settled into the clay. It just looked like it had colorized it. There was so much of it. And that was even with me wiping it down. It was just that out there in that environment, that's what it was open to because I chose not to close it up or tent it with a bag. So that thing was bone dry, still exploded. So it can't just be that it's only the moisture. It has to be that an air pocket leaves you vulnerable, even if it means that, once it goes into the kiln, just that shrinkage, maybe. Shrinking against an air pocket, maybe that caused something. I don't know. I'll probably never know. But the first thing I was told was, don't fall in love with anything until it comes out of that kiln. That was a piece I sort of fell in love with. But I've been doing this just long enough now to not feel distraught about it. I'm okay. It happened. Life goes on. And like the last video said, if nothing else, I am prolific. So I'll create something else that I love. Just as much as that, if not more. So it's all good, I ended up not needing this to save the day anyway. But I do, I got to make it my project to glaze this tomorrow because it's been bisque fired, but it still needs to be glaze fired. And I got a lot of the matte glazes that I've been wanting to try for my birthday. Thank you guys again. And so I'm looking forward to making that a Sunday project. Or a later project, because it's Sunday now, isn't it? Alright, so here we go. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I am not only positive, I'm 1000% positive that there was an easier way to sculpt this. Not how my brain works. I know that you see it with no problem. I just can't. Um, but, like I said, I end up learning how to do it the wrong way quickly so that nobody ever knows, unless you're in on the process like you are right now, how backwards my line of thinking is, you know? All right, and because I would have to cut off, dang it, drop that piece of nice fresh clay onto this horrible floor with all of this clay dust. I hate when I do that. I picked the bag up the wrong way and didn't know it was open. It is what it is. I'm tired. That's what happens. I start to get clumsy. So I've been up since 6, which is unusual. But anyway, I was saying that I'm going to stop here because I would have to open up a whole new, not a whole new bag because I don't have another bag, but I would have to cut off a new slab of clay. And I don't want to do that because I'm not going to stay up to use it. So I might as well leave that for tomorrow. So y'all just hang with me while I put my tools away because I told you I'm going to be good and make sure I clean up and set the stage for tomorrow so that whatever time I wake up, I can just get to it and come to a nice, clean environment that's going to have me motivated and ready to tackle the rest of the building for this coil pot with sculptural figure element. Yeah. So this is filthy. I'm going to go ahead and close it up because I stab myself with this thing all the time. I love it. It's just I always grab and forget that, like, those tines are sharp, you know? So I'm going to spin that around so that you can take a look at it, but I'd rather do it after I clean off the table, so just bear with me for a second, and then I'll spin her around. I also have to take some pictures of the last coil vessel. I pretty much cleaned her up and put her out on the patio to dry. I'm sure there's still some finessing that can be done, but I wanted it to get to beyond leather hard so that I can start sort of chiseling away into it and making the detail. I don't want any stickiness. I really want to get it nice and refined and smoothed out. And I like it best when it's past leather hard, when it feels like it's bone dry, but of course you know it isn't. But you can chisel away and you don't have to worry about that second to third layer of clay, I'm guessing, because it's definitely not dry at the center. But just those outer layers will be dry enough that they won't be sticky anymore. And there's less of a chance of the tools catching on the sticky clay when I wait, that's what I feel, until it gets past leather hard. So I'm just cleaning off the slip bowl because all around the insides is a little bit gross. It's still the nice thick consistency that I prefer. So I'm leaving that as is. I'm gonna cover it back up. Got a few tools sitting out here. Those can stay there. I'm not interested in cleaning those up. But I'm gonna go ahead and spray down the table. I went ahead and finally got old cloth out of the closet because as much as I love this turntable, it rusts incredibly easily. So, you know, I'm constantly spraying the pieces, and you know, my brand new turntable looked like it had been through a war. It was so rusty. And so of course, you know, I went to YouTube University for everything after I looked up the material, because certainly it's not stainless steel, so it was just like, it's raw metal. So I looked up what can I use to clean raw metal, and it said vinegar and baking soda. And I put it on, I applied the vinegar to this cloth, and then I sprinkled baking soda all over the turntable, and it started sizzling. And I thought to myself, see, you know what? I don't listen to some sucker on YouTube that don't know what they do. No, it wasn't actually on YouTube. I just Googled it, and the first thing that came up was that, so I just read it. And I was like, why can't I listen to some sucker who like trolled and put a prank up there, and now I mess around and blow up the condo or some crap. But that did not happen. It started fizzling and it started bubbling, and then I started scrubbing and got it restored like new. So I was real excited about that because I did not want the turntable being all gross and rusty, and I've got to put fresh new clay on it, and that rust is getting into the clay. So there, I've cleaned off my surface. Okay, so I'm all ready to start the day. Oh, I told you I was going to spin this around for you. So yeah, it's another abstract vessel goddess. She is guarding the gourd at this point. I don't know if this can be referred to as a gourd, but she is, you know, basically just the keeper of the vessel. I don't know. I don't know why these images are coming to me. I don't know what they mean. I don't question it. I just get to work. So that's what's happening right now. It's another freestyle that, of course, was inspired by the last one that I did, which was another coil vessel with a goddess. And these are her legs. I know they might look like arms to you right now because, you know, it's not finished. It's still being worked on. This is where I've started the hem of her skirt. I've got to add that tomorrow. Of course, I've got to give her arms. The arms are going to sort of be out and around here so that, you know, that will hopefully help make the distinction that these are indeed legs. And I've got to add her neck and her head. I'm building from the bottom up. I have a tendency to do that. as well. It works for me most of the time, especially when I'm doing a stylized piece like this and don't have to worry about realistic proportions, because I can make these legs as long as I want them to be. I can make the arms. The neck is going to be elongated and extended like the last one. So everything is going to work out just fine. Thank you for hanging in there with me. We are clocking out. I've been talking for a good minute now. So we're going to take away 5 minutes. So it would be 1 hour and 5 minutes. We're just going to shave that down to 1 hour. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.